Hey, this is Dave with OTA Astronomy, and while I'm very excited that the Paramount MyT is on the way, I just can't wait. Like, I literally can't wait. I can't just sit around and not do anything while it's on the way here. So I thought one thing is, you'll notice what a mess. The bottom of our dome has gotten quite messy because I've had to do a lot of repairs on the Celestron mount, and so just the frustration of having to move stuff around, recable this and that, try to get things going, and maybe my own slovenliness has made for quite a state inside the dome. So one of the things I'm going to do is clean the thing out and try to get it down to a nice clean interior, and so that'll be step number one. Another thing is, the reason why I had my sunglasses on here, it's quite bright outside, the decking. As you can see, the decking is in bad need of some paint, and so I'm going to strip the paint there, maybe use a scraper and a brush, and give this thing a little bit of weatherproofing. I think that having a new mount also it deserves that. And last, I could have gotten a pier from Software Bisque or from any of the places online. They run around $1,000, and I know they're purpose built and they'll do a great job, but I thought, hey, why not give somebody here in Oklahoma a chance to do a little bit of work and make some money? So I have a friend that does some metal fabrication, and he's going to build us a pier, and it'll still run around $750, but at least I don't have to worry about shipping, and he's going to build it to specification to fit inside this dome. He's also going to make a little table that's right off the side of the dome so that I can connect up the computer. I can just set the computer on the table right next to the pier and run the cables, a very short cable run from the back of the MyT into the computer, and that'll limit the amount of cables that we have to work with. And I think I can even order some custom ones if I have to, but I found some really good ones, just like 1 foot USB cables. Those might do the trick, maybe 2 foot. If I can keep the path to the computer as short as possible, then I won't have that to blame if I have any connection issues. So we're going to get the pier, we're going to clean out the inside of the dome, and we're going to do some work and give this a good paint job and make everything nice and fresh for the new mount. And we're hoping that'll all be done by the time the MyT gets here. I ordered it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and so it's probably about 2 weeks out. So in 2 weeks time, we hope to have this thing ready and conditioned for the arrival and installation of the Paramount MyT. Very exciting. So in addition to the stuff that we're going to do upstairs, there are a couple things I needed to do to get the optical tube ready to mount on the MyT. And one of them is, you'll notice the big Losmandy style bar that comes on the dovetail bar that comes on the Celestron Edge 1100. I'm not sure exactly how much it affects things, but I've heard that it can cause a little bit of flexure because this is just a aluminum bar and it's mounted to some screws on the front and the back. And so it is possible that as you're trying to point the telescope and you're leaning the telescope over, it could maybe roll one way or the other, depending on how much flex is in that bar. And so I've been told that in order to really lock down the pointing and to make the best pointing model possible, that it's better to install something here that I've got, and this is a ring set. I've got a couple of these guys, and this is by Parallax. These are Parallax rings. They have a nice lining on here to be gentle on them, and you can see the screws here are drilled and tapped on the top and bottom, and he's already been kind enough to install some bolts for me here. And what those will do, they will clamp onto the OTA, and I'll mount the rings directly to the Versa plate on the MyT, and that'll keep it from having any potential of rolling. It'll support it by 2 very wide points that are screwed to the Versa plate, and then that'll clamp down on the OTA, so there's no way that it's going to go anywhere. If I want to add a smaller scope on top for some piggyback, I'm thinking of adding a maybe this red Astrotech 72. I was thinking about adding it up top for some wide shots to be able to show the students some of the more extended objects in the sky, and putting a one-shot color camera on it. And so if I'm going to do that, it's going to be close to the weight limit of 50 pounds, but I'm pretty sure it'll handle it. It'll be around 41 pounds, 42 pounds, which is not bad. But I want to definitely, if I'm going to piggyback anything on there, I didn't want to have it with a bar and then a bar on top. That top scope would really potentially sag. But with the rings locked on there, I'll be able to put another plate on top and bridge it, and then mount on that top plate. I can mount this that other small scope. I'm pretty sure that that'll be nice and stable, and it won't go anywhere. Now the other thing, I took off the camera, and yes, that is cling wrap. I put some cling wrap around the outside to keep dust from getting in, because I had to take it off. Since I had to take it off anyway, I went ahead and cleaned the filters and did what I could for that. So I made sure and get it nice and clean. I also cleaned the front corrector plate on here, and that's all I did. I want to barely touch the optics on there. I just very lightly cleaned to get some of the pollen off, because we had some pollen in the dome. Since it was outside, I figured, hey, springtime's just about past with the heaviest pollen, so I'll go ahead and clean that off. So I've cleaned that off, and I cleaned that off. The reason why I had to take the camera off in the first place was the focuser. I have a Moonlight focuser, and the one that I had on there was the smaller version that will fit on SCT scopes, and I was getting a little bit whenever I was doing doing my alignment point model with the Celestron CPWI software. It was showing sag north and south, and then I was looking, and I thought it might be the focuser, might be letting some sag into there. So what I did is I took the focuser, and it rotates. So I rotated the focuser about 45 degrees and then re-ran that model, and sure enough, the alignment points, instead of being the error points on that model, instead of being straight up and down, they spread to a 45. So the error points followed the focuser orientation. So I knew that probably was where my flexing was coming in. So I contacted Moonlight, and they suggested getting this, which is a different focuser body, and it has heavier duty bearings on here, and it's very stout. It's still pretty lightweight. It's actually very lightweight, and but he said that this style of bearing will do a better job of holding it without sagging. It also has a higher weight carrying capacity. So using that higher weight carrying capacity will make sure and keep the camera straight in line and collimated with the telescope. So I'm hoping that between adding the rings and adding the heavier duty Moonlight focuser, which, by the way, you can send him your old focuser for an upgrade, and he traded me in the old focuser body for that focuser body, and gave me a discount on it. So that's really great. You can actually upgrade that. But doing those two things, I hope, will eliminate any flexure that I had going on, and make my model a lot tighter and make my pointing accuracy better. So those are some upgrades that we're doing while we're waiting on the MyT to arrive, along with the stuff that we're doing up on the roof.